Welcome back to the channel, my fellow General Hospital addicts. Today is Tuesday, and frankly, it is a beautiful day to scream into the void about the absolute chaos unfolding in Port Charles. We have a massive bombshell to unpack regarding Ethan Lovett, baby Phoebe, and a twist that is going to completely shatter Brooke, Lynn, and Chase's world. Grab your coffee, or maybe something stronger, because we need to talk. I cannot believe they did that. I am literally sitting here typing this at 2 in the morning because my mind is completely blown and I need to get this out of my system before I explode. I mean, we all knew something was off, right? We all felt that weird, lingering tension whenever Ethan Lovett was on screen. But this? I am shaking. Ethan is not Phoebe's father. Let me repeat that for the people in the back who might have passed out from the shock. Ethan Lovett is not the father of that baby. And before I even get into the nitty-gritty of what actually happened, can we just take a second to talk about how brilliantly the writers played us? I've been watching the show since 2015, and this is honestly one of the most gut-wrenching, rug-pulling twists they have done in years. Remember when they tried this fake-out paternity stuff with Bailey Lois back in the day? Yeah, didn't work then because we all knew the truth from the jump. But this time, they had me completely fooled. I bought the whole Ethan is a deadbeat who wants to do the right thing narrative hook, line, and sinker. So, let's break down this absolute train wreck of a scene. Ethan decides he can't keep up the charade anymore. He stops lying to Alexis Davis, and he summons Harrison Chase and Brooklyn Quartermaine for a meeting. And right off the bat, you could cut the tension with a knife. Ethan looks like he hasn't slept in weeks, pacing around like a caged animal. He looks at this family, this couple, who has already been put through the absolute ringer, and drops the mother of all truth bombs. He confesses that he is just a protector. He was just watching over Delilah Wilson in her final days. He is not Phoebe's dad. I mean, the look on Brooklyn's face? Give Amanda Setton her Emmy right now. Because you could literally see her heart shatter into a million tiny pieces. Brooklyn has been clinging to this adoption like a life raft. And honestly, can you blame her? She is already drowning in guilt over the hit and run with Curtis and Isaiah. She is terrified that Michael Corinthos is going to use that secret to blow up her marriage. She is dealing with Tracy getting arrested, and Willow Kane practically throwing herself at Chase in a bikini at the boathouse. Brooklyn is at her absolute breaking point, and Phoebe was her one beacon of hope. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, back to the point. If Ethan isn't the father, who is? Enter Liam. Who the heck is Liam? Ethan reveals that Phoebe's actual biological father is a mysterious man from Australia named Liam. And guys, Liam is not just some random bloke who went out for milk and never came back. No, Liam is a dangerous, terrifying figure with a deeply dark past. He is heavily entrenched in the criminal underworld. Ethan didn't just lie for fun. He lied because he was terrified. He was terrified that if Liam found out about Phoebe, he would track the baby down and drag her straight into his violent, mob-ruled world. Am I the only one whose brain immediately went to the Manhattan Art Gallery? Remember Ava, Jerome, and Alexis investigating that gallery featuring Kyoko's work? The weird tattoo Delilah Wilson had? It all makes sense now. That tattoo wasn't just some edgy art piece. It was a marker. It was connected to Liam and his Australian syndicate. Ava and Alexis have been poking around, asking Apollo the gallery owner all these questions, and they are probably the ones who are going to inadvertently lead Liam straight to Port Charles. I'm screaming at my television. Stop asking questions, Ava. You are going to bring an Australian mobster down on the Quartermaines. And let's talk about the legal nightmare of it all. Because Ethan didn't just lie to them over a cup of coffee. He forged the documents. He forged the paternity and adoption papers to make it look like he was the biological father voluntarily surrendering his rights. He committed a massive felony to protect this child. I am sorry, but how is Chase going to handle this? Chase is a literal police officer. He is a Boy Scout. He is already on thin ice with ADA Justine Turner after going rogue and arresting Tracy Quartermaine. Justine is breathing down his neck, waiting for him to step one toe out of line so she can fire him. And now his own impending adoption is built on a foundation of forged documents and criminal fraud? If Chase covers this up, he is risking his entire career, his badge, his freedom. If he reports it, he loses his daughter. It is the ultimate moral dilemma, and I am here for the drama, but my heart is bleeding for him. Let's talk about Chase's psychology for a minute. Harrison Chase is the moral compass of this show. Sometimes to a fault. He is the guy who always wants to do things by the book. He literally just dragged Tracy Quartermaine, his own wife's grandmother, into the PCPD in handcuffs because he believed Willow's accusations. He is so blinded by the law and his weird savior complex with Willow that he can't see the forest for the trees. But now Now he is faced with a situation where the book tells him he has to give up his daughter. Can you imagine the psychological warfare going on in his head right now? He is looking at Ethan, this grifter who forged documents, and every instinct in Chase's cop brain is screaming to arrest him. But if he arrests Ethan, the forgery is exposed, the adoption is voided, and Phoebe goes into the system, or worse, to Liam. Chase is going to have to compromise every single moral value he holds dear to keep his family intact. And honestly, I don't know if he can do it. Because think about the reality of this adoption process. The entire legal standing of Chase and Brooklyn keeping Phoebe was completely dependent on Ethan's voluntary consent. It was supposed to be a closed adoption based on a lie. Since Liam is the biological father, and his rights were never legally terminated, he has a 100% legitimate claim to that baby. If Liam walks into the Quartermaine mansion tomorrow, he can legally take Phoebe right out of Brooklyn's arms. The adoption is basically null and void. I know some people are loving this twist. I see you guys on the forum saying, oh, this is great. It gives Brooklyn a real soapy custody battle. It's going to be epic. But personally, I am exhausted for them. Give Chase and Brooklyn a break. They have fought so hard to be together. They survived the whole Bailey-Louise saga, which was its own special brand of trauma. They survived Chase almost dying from poison. Now they are dealing with Michael's disgusting cheating trap, pushing Willow toward Chase. And now they have to fight an Australian mobster for their baby? It is too much. And then there is Brooklyn. My sweet, chaotic Bensonhurst scrapper. Brooklyn Quartermaine does not play by the rules. If Chase is the moral compass, Brooklyn is the hurricane that destroys the compass. When Ethan dropped that bomb, her brain immediately went to overdrive. She isn't thinking about the law. She is thinking about survival. I wouldn't be surprised if she is already mentally plotting how to hide Phoebe. Brooklyn is the kind of mother who will fight dirty. She will pull hair, she will lie, she will scheme, and she will absolutely go on the run if she has to. But the tragedy here is that she is already carrying so much guilt. She is completely isolated right now. She needed this adoption to be the one pure, good thing in her life, and Ethan just ripped it away. Let's talk about Ethan's motivations for a second, because I am so conflicted. On one hand, I get it. He was trying to honor Delilah. He saw a dying woman who was terrified for her child, and he stepped up. He played the villain, he played the deadbeat dad, all to keep Phoebe off Liam's radar. That is actually incredibly noble. It gives me classic Luke Spencer vibes, doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, living in the gray area. But on the other hand, how could he do this to Alexis and BLQ? He let them fall in love with this baby. He let them build a nursery, plan a future, and attach their entire hearts to this little girl, knowing it was a house of cards. Let's pivot to Alexis Davis, because her reaction to this mess is honestly a whole separate tragedy. Alexis has fought so hard to get her law license back. She has clawed her way back to respectability after years of trauma, disbarment, and family chaos. She was doing this adoption by the book. She sat across from Ethan, playing hardball, demanding he do things the right way. And now she finds out she has been filing forged documents in a court of law. Alexis could be disbarred again. She could go to prison for fraud. And the emotional toll? She is still grieving the loss of Sam McCall. She is currently trying to process Christina dropping the bombshell that she is moving to California for medical school at UCLA. Alexis is losing her daughters left and right, and now her career and freedom are on the line because Ethan Lovett decided to play hero. I can just picture Alexis pouring a giant glass of club soda and just staring at the wall, wondering why she ever agreed to help these people. And what happens when Liam arrives? Because he is coming. You don't just drop a name like Liam from the Australian underworld and not bring him to the canvas. Is he going to be a new big bad? Is he going to team up with Jen Sidwell and Ross Cullum? Because Port Charles is already overflowing with villains right now. We have Sidwell escaping custody, Cullum holding Liesl and Jocelyn hostage, and now we are adding an Aussie mobster to the mix? Sonny Corinthos is going to have a field day. Can you imagine Sonny, who is already holding Pascal hostage in a coffee warehouse, having to go to war with Liam to protect Brooklyn and the baby? Because Sonny will step up for his family. But honestly, my biggest fear right now is how this affects Chase and Brooklyn's marriage. They are already so fragile. Brooklyn is keeping the hit and run a secret. Chase is blindly defending Willow and totally ignoring Brooklyn's feelings. If Michael Corinthos finds out about this Liam situation, he is going to use it. Michael is so obsessed with blowing up their marriage, so Willow will run to Chase. What if Michael somehow contacts Liam? What if Michael tips Liam off just to cause chaos for Brooklyn? I wouldn't put it past him at this point. Michael has gone completely dark, and I am dreading what he does next. Sacrificing Brooklyn's baby to a mobster might just be collateral damage in Michael's eyes. I just can't get over Ethan's audacity. I was just protecting her. Okay, Ethan, but you didn't think this through. You don't forge legal documents and hand a baby over to a cop without thinking about the endgame? Did he really think Liam would just stop looking? Men like Liam don't just let their bloodline disappear. They have resources. They have trackers. Ethan should have gone to Sunny Corinthos from day one. If you have a mob problem, you go to the local mob boss. Sunny would have hidden Delilah and Phoebe in a safe house, and Liam would never have known. But no, Ethan had to play lone wolf, and now he has dragged the entire Quartermaine family into a deadly crossfire. I just keep thinking about that poor baby. Phoebe is innocent in all of this. She is finally in a safe, loving home with two people who adore her. And now her future is completely shattered. If Liam is as dangerous as Ethan claims, there is no way a judge would give him custody, right? But wait, this is Port Charles. The judges are always corrupt or blackmailed. Sidwell probably has half the judges in his pocket anyway. If Liam is rich and powerful, he could easily buy a judge to invalidate the forged adoption and grant him full custody. I am so stressed out, you guys. I am literally pacing my living room right now. I want to trust that the writers have a happy ending plan for Chalin, but I have been burned too many times. Remember when they tried this with Maxie and baby Louise? The heartbreak was agonizing. I don't think I have the emotional bandwidth to watch Brooklyn hand another baby over to someone else, especially a dangerous criminal. So, what do we think is going to happen? Is Ethan going to go on the run to draw Liam away from Port Charles? Is Chase going to arrest Ethan for forgery? Is Brooklyn going to take Phoebe and go on the run like Lulu and Dante are doing with Rocco? Because honestly, if I were Brooklyn, I would pack my bags tonight and disappear. I need to know your thoughts. Am I overreacting? Are you guys as terrified of this Liam guy as I am? Drop your theories in the comments, because I need to talk to people who understand this level of soap opera anxiety. I am going to try and get some sleep, but let's be real. I'm just going to be laying in bed thinking about Brooklyn's crying face. Until next time, stay safe, stay soapy, and for the love of everything, protect baby Phoebe.